I don't believe there's a person in this world that was born lazy.
And they say 25% of Filipino adults are financially illiterate.
Contentment makes a poor man rich. Discontentment makes a rich man poor.
The Philippines is starting becoming a lower middle income
Yes.
class
Yes.
I think in 2025.
Let's say you give ₱1 million to a person who is not yet familiar and financially literate. What do you think will happen with that 1 million after a year?
Spend it.
Spend everything.
Why did you fail?
And probably I have.
Yeah.
So again, it all depends on the person.
But I don't think the Philippines is poor in terms of resources, right?
Definitely, we're talking about natural resources, human resources. We're so rich.
Right.
Unfortunately, again, it's the lack of knowledge and ideas that
Right.
makes people poor.
Well, the Banco Central did a survey, and they say 25% of Filipino adults are financially illiterate. I would argue that it's less than that, actually, but that's what they say, and that's one of the lowest in Southeast Asia. You know, what are some of the misconceptions, the common misconceptions that Filipinos have about saving money, about debt, about investing?
Well, there's a lot. Let's talk about first, again, the problem. They always say, the reason why I cannot save because I don't have much. I do not earn much. Well, this is the strange part. When the income was little, they were able to get by. At the same time, they were able to save a little. But when they started to earn more, that's the time they cannot really make their income fit. At the same time, they get into debt.
Yeah.
So people always complain about inflation because my family is growing, the prices is going up, which most of these things you cannot control.
Right.
But people never talked about and complain about lifestyle inflation.
Tell us what lifestyle inflation means.
It means the more you make, the more you spend. Whether we like it or not, all of us, including me, there's no such thing as satisfaction when it comes to the things that you want in life.
Right.
You have an aspiration to have a better life, better home, better car. You want to live life better.
Right.
However, again, this is what I've realized. If you do not understand the difference between satisfaction and contentment, that's where the problem lies. I'm satisfied. I'm happy in for today. Like for example, I'm only eating once a day. Okay, you can say yes. I'm happy that I'm eating once a day. I'm satisfied that I'm eating once a day. But I'm contented that I'm eating once a day. But I know there will come a time that I will eat 3 times a day. So right now, yes, I have only enough money to probably take a jeep. But there's an aspiration for you that you're happy and contented right now that you have money for a jeepney ride. But you have an aspiration that one day that you're going to own your own car.
Right.
So again, that's the difference between being satisfied and with content. One quote that I can never forget is, contentment makes a poor man rich. Discontentment makes a rich man poor.
Right.
So in other words, we should learn how to be contented, but you should never be satisfied because the good days are not behind us, but the good days are ahead of us. You should start believing, start dreaming, start aspiring for more.
Wow, that's correct. The Philippines has gone through, it's one of the big economic growth story in Asia over the last, few decades, right? And I think someone said in a study that the Philippines is starting becoming a lower middle income class.
Yes.
In 2025, 2026. But yet Filipinos still feel poor. Like how much of that poverty comes from financial literacy versus just not having enough opportunities?
Well, again, a lot of people are saying, or probably most of the people are saying when I encounter them, I cannot start my own business because I don't have money. I don't have capital.
Right.
So it's probably always they complain about the lack of resources. Yes or no?
Yes.
But
always.
In reality is this, it's never about the lack of money and resources. What do I mean? Let's say you give 1,000,000 pesos to a person who is not yet familiar and financial literate.
Yeah.
What do you think will happen with that 1,000,000 after a year?
Spend it.
Spend everything. What if you take away all the money of an existing billionaire here in the Philippines? Like for example, the Ayalas, Lucio Tan. Okay, take away all of their businesses, their money and possession.
They'll rebuild it from scratch.
Exactly, they will become rich again and they will become a billionaire. That only proves, even you have all the money in the world, but if you do not know what to do with your resources and money, it's useless.
Right.
Even though you don't have much, but if you know how to create it, how to recreate it, you will have more. It's never about the lack of resources. It's always about the lack of resourcefulness.
So is it a cultural thing or a mindset thing?
Yes, because whether we like it or not, it all starts with our way of thinking, your mindset. Your way of thinking will dictate your way of living. Wrong way of thinking, wrong way of living. Right way of thinking, right way of living. It doesn't really matter what you believe in life. What really matters is what results are created based on your belief. So like for example, right now with your present career, profession, finances, if you're happy with the result, it means to say that your belief system is working. But if the results that you're getting is not what you really desire, probably you might ask yourself, is there something wrong with my belief system? Because your belief system will trigger your behavior and your action and your habits. So I have a formula that I always share with people. It's called mindset plus action equivalent to result. Negative mindset, negative action, negative result. Positive mindset, positive action. Wrong mindset, wrong action, wrong result. Right mindset, right action, right result.
Absolutely.
So based on your way of thinking, this will dictate, again, your way of living. Wrong way of thinking, wrong way of living. Right way of thinking, right way of living. And in relation, since you have already formed your mindset, that will become your culture, your behavior, your habit. And whether we like it or not, culture defines destiny. So if you look at 3 countries, when you say on time, it's American time. When you say ahead of time, it's Japanese time. When you say late, it's
Filipino time.
Yes. So among the 3 nations, again, not to put down our own country as a Filipino, among the 3 nations, who's the most progressive? Japan. Who's the next? America. And then who's the last? Because of the culture. So if you want to really change, you don't change the environment, but you change your way of thinking and you change your culture.
I see. Yeah. I think culture has a lot to do with it. And, it's the biggest influence around us. So I wonder, do we have hope? Do we have hope for people to break out of this poverty mindset?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I do believe there's so much hope in our country. Filipinos are really resilient as people.
Yeah.
Even though they go through a lot of calamities, but they still are happy. They're very resilient people, not unlike the people that I see in other countries. They're so spoiled. They have everything in life, but still they complain. Here in the Philippines, we don't have much, but people are happy. So, however, the only way it can change if there's a revolution in terms of mindset, revolution in terms of education, revolution in terms of helping them to understand. Because once they understand, they will have the power. And one thing that I've learned in life, he who has hope in the future has power in the present. When you don't have hope in the future, you won't have power in the present.
That's true. Yeah. Your motivation has to come from somewhere.
Yes, and that's again in line with great power comes great responsibility. He who offers the most hope has the most power.
Right.
One thing that Filipinos, I do believe, need to have is really hope. The hope that they can really improve their lives. The hope that they can really get out of poverty. The hope that they can really get out of their financial situation.
So let's play with this. So you get a whole country to believe and be hopeful that they can get out of poverty. But it doesn't stop there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so many steps and layers
Yes.
to this.
First, we have what we call when I train people, when I train an organization, I use the ASK method, ASK method. When you say ASK method, it starts with A, attitude, your way of thinking. Then that's what we talked about on the first part. But your mindset, even though you're the most motivated and inspired person in the world, but if you don't have the S, the right skills, you need to upgrade your skills.
Right.
Motivation and inspiration can only bring you up to a certain level.
It's the failures that create that mindset
Yeah.
that you need, right? Because if you've never failed ever in your life,
Yeah.
how are you going to have the mindset to navigate through hard times or to find new opportunities, to have the confidence to even take the risk?
Exactly. And the reason why a lot of people, as a matter of fact, you know what? The biggest graveyards, the biggest and the richest graveyards are the people who died without even implementing and trying their ideas.
But you're not in grade 6 where, you know, I can't imagine you were dumb. You're obviously smart. You're probably a smart kid. Maybe it was just, why did you fail?
No, I think I'm not just really good for the regular academics in terms of education. I'm a self-learner and I want to learn at my own pace.
Yeah.
And probably I have ADHD when I was younger, but it wasn't diagnosed.
Yeah, we didn't have that back then.
Yes, exactly. So they just probably label you as a person who's really naughty, or probably you're just hard-headed. So for me, I get to enjoy learning when I'm doing, applying, and get to ask questions rather than really from a class listening to a teacher. I really get bored.
Yeah. You know, your story resonates with me because I never got good grades. I slept through most of my classes, or I was always drawing. I was just bored in class, and I got kicked out of high school too. My friends, and I got into a lot of trouble. I was a trouble kid. So my friends back in high school would never believe that I'm successful back then.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it taught me some really hard lessons, but not every kid who fails succeeds.
Yeah.
A lot of kids who fail or just become failures.
Yeah, that's the reason why probably most people are asking why there are people who are just lazy. I don't believe there's a person in this world that was born lazy or is born lazy. But most people, they tried, they failed, and they become afraid. Once you're afraid, like for example, you started a business, it didn't work. So it's just like being bitten by a dog and you had a dog trauma.
Yeah.
And then you don't want to try to touch a dog again.
Right.
And likewise, you tried something and then you failed. But your mindset, not everything you do will fail.
Right.
But in their minds, they accept, no, everything that I will do, I'm a failure because my parents said I'm a failure, my friends said I'm a failure, and I experienced I'm a failure. Yes, I'm a total failure. But people don't understand the real meaning of failure or fail. When you spell fail, John, how do you spell fail?
FAIL.
It's called first attempt in learning. The reason why you failed because you don't know much.
Is that the real acronym for it?
Well,
Or you just
I heard it.
that out?
I heard it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.